Welcome to the Women's Football Show. We are coming to you here from Hampden Park, where new Scotland manager Melissa Andreatta has been speaking for the first time since being appointed national team boss. We'll be hearing from her on today's show, as well as looking at the state of play in the SWPL title race and hearing from some of the winners from the PFAA Scotland Awards. Alison, you're speaking to Melissa Andreatta there for the first time. What's your first impressions of her?
Yeah, I thought she came across as very measured, very sensible. A very good politician to points. I felt. I think she was very careful in how she answered questions. I think she didn't want to commit to coming in and saying I'm the woman that's taking this team back to a major tournament. I thought she handled those questions well. I think she came across as very personable, very friendly, affable, open, willing to engage in conversation. But I think you can see the wider picture and the wider remit here. She's come in to test herself in a managerial role. I think she'll be well aware of the challenge now that lies ahead. She spoke of knowing some of these players. Obviously Australia played against Scotland in 2023 in a friendly down in London just ahead of the World Cup kicking off, and so she's more than familiar with how this team plays, with some of the players in it, and she explained just how much homework now goes into the next couple of weeks before Scotland's friendly here at Hampden at the end of this month. But yeah, I thought she came across well, but of course it's a first press conference. It always tends to have a particular kind of tone to it when it's a nice meeting. I think you'll see a truer picture both on and off the pitch as the next couple of months goes on.
Yeah, and she was, like you say, non-committal, but is the brief for her as simple as get Scotland into a major tournament?
I don't think there's any doubt. I think this is a squad that should be at major tournaments. I think they've choked when they've come to playoff games. They lost here to the Republic of Ireland in the playoff final that would have taken them to Australia the same. I thought it was a desperately insipid performance in December against Finland that would have taken them back to a major tournament under Pedro Martinez Lawton. Of course that cost the Spaniard his job, which is why Melissa Andreatta is in position. But I don't think there's any doubt. I think this is a squad that their ambitions are to replicate where this team and squad was in 2017 and 2019 and do that again on a consistent basis. And if you look at the players that are within this squad, they should have the capability of doing that.
Yeah, but speaking today, Melissa Andreatta said one of the reasons that she took the Scotland job is because the values of the Scots align with some of her own.
I think because the opportunity came up with a country that has values that I really align with: hardworking, no nonsense, straight talking, humble, honest, and I'm all about that as well. And some things just turn up when they do, and this opportunity is one of those. It arose, and I went for it, and I'm so honoured to have been, given the opportunity to lead the team, and I'm going to take it with both hands and run with it.
She's got a very positive attitude, Alison, but she'll be in the dugout for the first time at the end of this month against Austria. Is that a must-win game in our first time out?
I'm not sure you would bracket it as must-win. Certainly, I think they'll want to win it. You want to get off on a positive footing. I think the pressure will probably come later for her. I think these games will be seen as an assessment, an opportunity to look at the squad, look at the system, look at the deficiencies, look at the weaknesses. Where are the issues? For me, I think there's two glaring problems within the Scotland squad. I think they're far too weak at the back. They give goals away very cheaply and they don't convert chances. They're not clinical enough at the other end. So I think she'll maybe want to have a look at that. She'll want to think about ways of addressing it. She'll maybe want to have a look at the existing squad. I think when you look at the spine of this team, it's a team that's been in situ for quite some time. I think there are points where you've maybe questioned whether or not it's getting a bit stale. There are points whether or not there could be other players brought in. So I think these games will be about assessing that. They'll be about looking at it. There'll be a bigger picture rather than the simple outcome.
Yeah, we'll be back here later in the month to speak to her again before that game against Austria. But away from Scotland, let's take a look at the weekend's results in the SWPL. It was Glasgow City 3, Celtic 1, Hearts 1, Hibs 3, Rangers 6, Motherwell 0, Aberdeen 2, Partick Thistle 0, Queen's Park 1, Dundee United 2 and Montrose 2, Spartans 1. So it leaves the SWPL table looking Hibs 3 points clear of City at the top. Rangers, of course, 5 points off the top in third place, Celtic in fourth, Hearts in fifth and Motherwell in sixth. Alison, it was a 3-1 victory for Hibs in the Edinburgh Derby at the weekend. There's 3 games left to play. They've got Glasgow City at the weekend. Can anyone stop them now?
Yeah, I think it's huge now. The next 3 games for them are massive. Obviously, Glasgow City, as you say, this weekend, and Glasgow City could then go top if they win it. I think they've got the superior goal difference there, but I think it's a monumental challenge for them now. I think it's about tunnel vision. It's about taking each game as it comes for them. They've got a tricky run in. They've got some pretty testing games ahead of them. I spoke to Grant Scott on Sunday night. He obviously won the Women's Manager of the Year award at the PFA Scotland dinner, and I think he was very complimentary about this squad, about the fact that they're probably in a position that no one anticipated, including themselves at the start of the campaign. But now that they're there, no one wants to relinquish that. When you're within touching distance of it, no one then wants to go and give it away. I have to say, I thought in the aftermath of the League Cup final, I thought there was a huge question mark over Hibs and what would come next in the season. I think you would have to applaud them for how they've rallied sincerely. They've basically assigned that to one game, got back to the league, put their full focus on it, and it's a really intriguing run in there. And what you would have to say is, realistically, there are 3 teams fighting it out for the title. You've got Hibs, Glasgow City and Rangers, and so much of it depends on who manages the pressure, the expectation of these games now.
Do you think that's why Hibs have done so well this season? Because there really wasn't a lot of expectation on them. And when you look at the likes of Rangers and Glasgow City, and to a lesser extent Celtic defending the title.
Yes and no. I think it's probably an element of it. I think people look at it and they think Glasgow City, Celtic and Rangers are the 3 big ones. I think Hibs have clearly compounded all expectations, but they've also had some players who have really impressed, really come to the fore this season. I think Ailey Adams, obviously shortlisted in the PFA Awards. I think Kathleen McGovern, their goals have been instrumental in where this Hibs side are. And I think Grant Scott himself is a very experienced manager. He's been over this course before in his career, and I think he's a coach for me who gets the best out of his players. And for me, that's how I think you always assess a good coach. You look at the players they've got and you think he gets a tune out of them. He gets the best out of every player. He maximises the potential that's in that squad, and I think he gets them to produce more than the sum of their parts. So I think it's hugely interesting now ahead of the run-in just how they fare.
Yeah, and as you said, Grant Scott, he won the SWPL PFA Scotland Manager of the Year award at the weekend, and he was adamant that he would swap all those individual accolades for the big one.
Yeah, I'd sacrifice all of this for the players and staff to have the big one. But yeah, we know how difficult that's going to be. But this is nice in between times to receive an award like that.
It was another defeat, of course, for Celtic at the weekend, albeit against title-chasing Glasgow City. There's an Old Firm derby at the weekend. Are we seeing the final days of Elena Sadiku in the Celtic hot seat?
Yeah, it's an interesting question. I think Celtic will be massively disappointed at the way this campaign has played out, particularly since in the latter half of the campaign. I think since the Christmas break they come back, they had 2 games in hand, they won both of those games. It put them firmly back in the mix to go and challenge for the title. There was no distractions then of European football. Obviously you saw that in the opening half of the campaign when they were managing a fairly hectic schedule, but I think since then there have been real question marks over the identity of this Celtic team, how they set up, how they play. I think there's no question whatsoever that they've missed Caitlin Hayes. They've missed her influence at the back. I think you see some of the goals conceded. I think you only have to look at that Glasgow City game on Sunday and Celtic holding firm for half an hour and then a couple of mistakes and bang, Glasgow City maximise those errors and take full advantage. So I think they'll be sore at the fact that they went into this campaign as defending champions and they've fallen out of the title race. Whether or not that cost Elena Sadiku her job, I'm not sure. I think she probably has enough credit in the bank within the club. I think she delivered the club's very first title, took them into the group stages of the Champions League. I think this season may be seen as an aberration and that she will be given another opportunity to go and see what she can do next term. The bigger question for me might be what she thinks of herself, whether she feels as though she has hit a particular ceiling at Celtic. We know that there's not massive investment in the women's team.
Yeah.
And so I just wondered if she maybe feels that she's taken them as far as she can. She was shortlisted for an extremely prestigious award at the end of this year when she made the FIFA shortlist for the best award. I think that's a really considerable platform and really illustrious company to be in. I do wonder if she thinks maybe the time is right for herself to go and seek a new challenge at the end of this summer. But when it comes to the club making that decision, I think that she probably has a bit of credit in the bank still.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think that the decision actually will be hers and not the club's. And, you know, she's the face of the club because she's the manager, so she takes all the flack. But I think, you know, there's other parts of the club that have got to take a bit of responsibility, I think, for what's happened this season, and because it's been such a huge downturn from what they achieved last season and the high of that in the Champions League. They've really not had enough behind them to go again, I don't think. But also Emma Lawton was one. She obviously picked up the PFAA Scotland Player of the Year at the weekend, and you spoke to her, and she's been a real shining light in that Celtic team.
I think she's excelled. I think she's had a fantastic season individually. I think she'll be disappointed at how the season's played out for Celtic as a whole, but on an individual level, I think she's been a standout at Celtic. I think she's been excellent. Mm-hmm. She's made that step up, not just in standard and having to produce week in, week out, but also in moving in from part-time football to full-time football. I think the demands of that physically can maybe be underestimated at times, and just what it takes to get used to that physically. So I think she's coped with all of that. I think she's been excellent. She's very young. There's still more to come from her. I think a very, very exciting young player. And of course we also saw her then step in to the national team, come in and make her Scotland debut, score a goal here at Hampden. I think huge things expected of her again next season. I think the anticipation will be that she kicks on another level. I think she's got another level still to go.
Yep, and as we say, she picked up the Player of the Year award, and Emma Lawton said that award means more to her because it's voted by her fellow professionals.
Yeah, I think it's a bit surreal, to be honest. It's really special when it is the people that you play against every week that have voted for you, so I'm just extremely grateful to those that did it, and yeah, really happy. I would just say special, I think, to sum it up. I think there's been so many highs, there's been lows as well, but I think I just couldn't have imagined how this season's went, and I'm just extremely grateful to have been given the opportunity to play full-time football and manage to showcase myself.
If we take a look at Rangers then, of course it was a very convincing 6-0 win against Motherwell at the weekend. They've got an Old Firm game on Sunday against Celtic. What's happened to Rangers in the last couple of weeks, because there was a point where we thought they were stick on for the title? Yeah,
I think Joe Potter will be frustrated. I think that performance against Glasgow City at Ibrox last Wednesday night was poor. I think they know that. She got the response she wanted on Sunday, going out a very emphatic win over Motherwell, but as you say, it leaves them 5 points off of Hibs at the top. They've got that ground to make up, but I think what will frustrate her now is that they need favours from other teams. It's not within their own hands. They can go and win all of their remaining 3 games and still not finish the league as champions, because obviously the position that Hibs and Rangers are in. So I think that will be a source of real consternation for her. I think all they can do is really, it's a kind of single focus now. I'll be interested to see how Sunday plays out, because effectively it is a Celtic team that have got nothing left to play for except pride. I'll be interested to see just how that game goes.
Second dead rubber in a week in the Old Firm. It's a bit strange, but it's not a dead rubber for Rangers. Of course, they still need to go out there and get the points, and like you say, she will be very frustrated with that. And then of course they have the game against Hibs at Ibrox in the last day of the season, and they'll want to go into that knowing that they can affect the league title.
Yeah, and obviously they'll be looking at Sunday's game between Glasgow City and Hibs and thinking something's got to give here. Something has to give. If we take care of our business, we're making up ground somewhere, and I think that's all you can do. But also I think you can't get too caught up in that. I think obviously as managers, coaches, players, I think it's about you can't be looking too far ahead and too far around you. You have to be looking and saying, we can't be distracted, you've just got to go and win your own game.
Yeah, and of course Laura Berry, she was awarded the PFA Scotland Young Player of the Year at the weekend. What do you think she's contributed this season to that side?
Yeah, I think she's been excellent. I think she was a worthy winner. I think she had a very good campaign. She wasn't actually at the dinner, she wasn't there to pick up the award. It would have been interesting to hear her thoughts on it, but yeah, I think a worthy winner. And I think there are a few very exciting young players in that Rangers team. There's a few really exciting young players coming to the fore, and they get ample game time under Joe Potter. I think they've got a good mix of experience and youth, which augurs well for them.
Yep, well that's all we've got time for. I just have to ask you, last week it was the Hilton, this week week. We're at Hampden. Do you fancy the Bahamas next week?
Mauritius.
See if we can swing that, put it on expenses. That's all we've got time for. We'll be keeping up to date with all the action from the SWPL across our social media channels, so look out for that. Thank you for listening and thank you for watching.